Let us close the eyes for a moment. Let us remember God who is omnipresent, remembering the masters, remembering our master Paramahansa Hariharanandaji, Shri Gurudev, on this special day. We'll begin with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May God nourish us with wisdom and knowledge. May we meditate and pray together. May there be no discord among us. May there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and everywhere within and without. May the blessings of God and Masters be upon us all. Om. Amen. I humbly bow to all-pervading divinity in different names and forms, about to lead the presence of divine in each one of you. Good afternoon and welcome. Good evening also in some part of our country. We are in the last month of this year. Today is the auspicious day. We are celebrating our masters, Shri Gurudev Paramahansa Hariharanandaji's Mahasamadhi Day. So today morning we did puja, a special ceremony and fire ceremony in our ashram, all our ashrams. I also finished it few hours before. Coincidentally, today's topic is also why worship God. It is interesting why worship God. So today we'll try to understand. Worship in Sanskrit is called puja. Puja, it is derived from Sanskrit root word puj. Puj means to worship, to serve, to honor, to shine, or to collect, or to bring together. So puja or ceremony is therefore an intelligent bringing together of luminous element in order to honor or worship. The question comes to us that when we talk about God, this word God is mostly misunderstood and many times it is abused. But what is God and why should we worship God? So we'll try to understand some concepts about this topic today. When we all were children, our parents told us to go to temple, to go to church, to go to mosque or our place of worship. Even in our houses, they asked us to pray to God. As a child, I also did not understand what is God, who is God. But there is something, so we just honored our parents. And in my childhood, when I saw a statue of God in the temple or on the altar in our homes, my concept was that God is like this. For example, if we look at the statue or picture of Lord Krishna, so we thought that Lord means or God means who is holding a flute and standing and smiling at us. Or if we see the statue of Lord Rama, we see that he is holding a bow and arrow and giving us fearlessness. However, when I grew up, that my concept of divinity also changed. it is not limited. And much later, when I came after my university, finishing my education, I learned Kriya Yoga. Then I could understand this concept much better, that God is not limited, but God, when we say, is omnipresent. And in Kriya practice, I could really go deeper and connect with that. However, when we think about our childhood, our parents told to do some worship, to pray or meditate on divinity. Why do we worship God? This question comes to mind first. So there are a couple of reasons. Why do we worship God? It's not just that because we love God, we want to worship, but there are a couple of reasons. So I have noted some reasons here. First reason could be that because our parents told that you should worship, you should pray, you should meditate, go to temple. So just because the parents told, we just followed. Second reason, because of the fear. We are afraid that we make mistake. So God is watching us and we should be careful. So we pray, we go to temple or we pray to God or we worship God. Third reason is to fulfill our desires. We are endowed with many ambitions, desires, which are good. To continue the life on this earth planet, we need desires. So many desires we have and we want to fulfill them. So we always pray to God, we worship God so that what we need, God will fulfill our wishes. The fourth reason, sometimes that we want to show that we are very religious. Sometimes people go to temple or they do worshipping God. They just want to show that they are very religious. And another reason is to know and go back to our source. We really want to know who we are, who is God, who has created us. So this is the sincere inquiry. We really want to know the truth. We want to know this mystery of this universe. And then we come to know that there is somewhere, there is some source from where we all have come. What is that source? So in that way, we start worshipping God, meditating or praying to God so that we can go back to the source. Now again, God is just a word. And I would suggest don't go by the word only because sometimes it is very scary. For some people, this God itself, this word God is not very comfortable. However, let's try to understand who is God. This question comes to our mind. Who is God? So I will tell you few things here. God is, if we think about our source, we can say there is a supreme reality. Again, we can give many different words, but I will use the word here as a supreme reality. There is some supreme reality which is the source of this entire creation. That supreme reality we can also say scientifically as the pure unmanifest consciousness. It is pure consciousness, but it is unmanifest. In the beginning of creation, when there was nothing, it is unmanifest dimension. In fact, we call it Brahman in the Vedanta philosophy. As we discussed last time, we call it Brahman. And this supreme reality or pure consciousness, when it manifested, because there is vibration in this energy, and because of that there is grossification, manifestation. So it manifested as in three forms. It is called generator, operator, and destroyer. So generator, who has created this universe? So there is a word given, we call it Brahma, not Brahman. Brahman is the supreme reality. Brahma, ending with long A, Brahma is the creator, we call it generator. When we say God, this word is coming from these three words: G for generator, O for operator, and D for destroyer. So the creative aspect of that divinity is Brahma, the creator. To maintain and sustain this creation, operator who is operating is Lord Vishnu or Narayana, and destroyer to destroy all the evil tendencies, as well as when the creation has to be dissolved so that there will be a new creation, because it's a cyclic process. So that is the aspect of divinity. We call it Lord Shiva. So this generator, operator, destroyer becomes God, God. Lord Brahma, the creator, is only creating, and after that he is silently meditating. Lord Shiva comes at the end, but Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana, this aspect is constantly maintaining our life or this entire universe, sustaining, maintaining. When we say unmanifest dimension, Brahman, it is attributeless. But when we give attribute, because for creation there has to be some attribute. So when it is manifested, so the creator attributes, the attributes are given to supreme reality in three forms. They are known as Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means eternity, because God or that divinity is eternal. Chit means consciousness or knowledge. That divinity is pure conscious. It is conscious of everything. And Ananda means absolute bliss. So these three are the nature of God, or they are the actual attributes. So creation, sustenance, dissolution, it goes in cyclic process. Now, so there is unmanifest dimension, and then it is manifested. So it has some attribute. Let me take you further. The next question comes that many people believe in God, and some people worship God in mother form, like female, or some people worship God in male form, like male. Some people worship in heaven. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he said mother. Paramahansa Yogananji and our master Sri Gurudev, they worship divinity in the form of divine mother, Kali. Some people worship in various other forms. So the question comes that is God male or female? Because sometimes they say she, sometimes he, sometimes. So what exactly it is? So is God male or female? This is the question. So let me tell you, God is both. If you look at the Shweta Upanishad, there is a mantra. There are two mantras I will refer to. In Shweta Upanishad, fourth chapter, mantra number 3, it says, Tvam Stri Tvam Puman Asi, Tvam Kumara Utta Va Kumari, Tvam Jirno Dandena Vanchasi, Tvam Jato Bhavasi Vishwato Mukha. Meaning is that, O Supreme Lord, you are the women, you are the man, you are the youth, you are the maiden too. You are the old man who totters along, leaning on the staff. You are both, you are born with faces turned in all directions, means whole universe is your form. Today morning when we were doing our Guru Paduka Puja, we chanted the Vedic hymn to cosmic being. So in that, the first mantra it says, Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vrattva. God is having infinite, here it is said Sahasra means thousand, but it represents infinity. God has thousands of faces, thousands of hands, thousands of feet, thousands of eyes, means God is omnipresent. Sabhumim Vishwato Vrattva, he is covering the entire universe, starting from the earth to space or heaven. However, so this mantra says, Tvam Stri Tvam Pumanasi, you are male, you are also female. So in both form, Oh God, you are present. Now, another mantra in Shveta Upanishad, 5th chapter, 10th mantra. It says, Naivastri na pumanesha na cha eva ayam napunsakah. Yat yat shariram adatte tena sayujyate. It is not female, it is not male, nor it is neuter. Whatever body it takes, with that it becomes united. So God is both male or female, or the mantra says that he is neither he or she. So God is neither male nor female, but God is who, with whichever form or body it takes, it manifests in that form. Simple example to understand this mantra: if you talk about water, if you take water, does water have form? Water has no form. In whichever pot, in whichever container you keep water, it takes the form or shape of that container. Similarly, yat yat shariram adatte, whichever body it takes, it manifests in that form. So in this way, God is formless. So God is both, God is female, God is also male. So we cannot argue on that. It depends on whichever body it takes. So for example, I am talking to all of you. So each one is the body of God. So each one of us is presence of God, because whichever form it has taken, it is God. It takes us to another question. Male or female we resolved. Now the question is, does God has a form or formless really? Because many people talk about God as formless and some say God is with form, and both are correct. So I'll give you the example here again. In quantum physics, we'll try to understand. In quantum physics, there's a theory of observer effect. What does it say? Quantum mechanics actually is the study of how particles at the atomic and subatomic level interact with each other and with their environment. And in this observer effect, it is said, it is the phenomena in which the act of observation alters the behavior of the particle being observed. And this effect is due to wave-like nature of matter, which means that particle can exist in multiple states simultaneously. When an observer measures a particular property of a particle, they can effectively collapsing the wave function of that particle and causing it to assume a definite state. To simplify it, I'll show you the observer effect. It says that particle can exist in wave form, and also when we pinpoint its location, then it is as a particle. So it can be both. Before we observe the particle, it has a waveform which is spread out over the space and time. So you can say it's like omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent God. So it is omnipresent, or it is all pervading. Then in this case, you can say it is also formless. But when we observe the particle, so at the time of observation, the particle is localized with space and time event. But when we do not observe, then it is spread over the time and space, infinite. So once we start observing the particle, then it is no more existing as a waveform, but it is existing as the particle. So we can measure its quality, quantity, and many attributes. But waveform you cannot. So this is how God can be form with form, and God can be formless also. It depends how we observe it. So this is exactly the observer effect tells us that we can take God as form or we can take it as formless. It depends on how we observe it. And little further, we'll go deeper into this subject. I'll show you that when we say God with form and formless, so when we say God is form, that means there must be attribute. So again, if you again consider supreme reality in the beginning, when there is no creation. Supreme reality is truly speaking is called Avang Manasa Gochara. In Vedanta or in the scriptures, it is said Avang Manasa Gochara. Avang means you cannot know God or reality with speech. It is beyond speech. Manasa, it is beyond mind. So you cannot think of it. What exactly it is, you cannot, because mind does not reach there. And Gochara, Avang Manasa Gochara. Gochara, go means senses. So reality is beyond sense organs, beyond speech, sense organs, and beyond mind or thought. When it is in unmanifest dimension. But when it is manifested, so there are two things happening here. That reality, we worship or we connect with that in two forms. One is we call Saguna Sakara. Saguna means with attribute or with quality, and Sakar with form. So with form and attribute which we worship, like an idol, a picture, or any icon. Even when we look at the cross, so it has a form. It has some attributes. So that is Saguna Sakara. The other way is called Nirguna Nirakara. So Nirguna means ni means without. So without attribute and without form. Ni akar. So without form, without attribute, which is called the absolute. So these are the two ways to connect here. Now, Saguna Sakara, when we have a form, we have attribute. So that is the path which connects with that form is called Premamaya, or it is the path of devotion. Because when you see something tangible, you can connect, you can talk, you can worship, you can even meditate on that form. So this is path of devotion, but there is duality. So this path is called Premamaya. But when we talk about worshipping divinity in absolute form, means there is no form, there is no attribute, it is unmanifest, or you can say formless, or all-pervading divinity. Then that path is called path of knowledge or Jnanamaya. You can know that, but you cannot talk to that because it is Nirguna Nirakar is beyond our senses, beyond our mind. So you can know the formless, but you can worship the form. You can relate to form very easily. Santa Kabir, in the medieval time in India, a poet and mystic saint, he said, Sagun ki kar seva. Sagun ki kar seva, nirgun ka kar gyan, sagun nirgun te pare taha, sagun nirgun te pare taha hamara dhyan. He says that Sagun ki kar seva. When you have a form with attribute, then you can do seva, means you can do service. You can offer water, you can offer some food, you can offer some flour, you can offer some sandalwood paste. But nirguna, without attributes or formless, you cannot. You can just know that only. You can experience that. And saguna nirguna te pare taha hamara dhyan. When we go beyond this form and formless both, that is actual my meditation. So in meditation, we transcend everything, time, causation, space, everything. So any form, it is limited by time and space, but formless is beyond all. We can say the divinity as the three forms we can say here: omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. Now I'll give you another example. Our goal of life is self-realization, or to return to our source, completing the circle. From where we have come, we have to go back. So there are two ways. One can go to his dimension, or we can call him, means God, at our home in our creation. So again, it is related to both path, the form and formless. When there is a form, means we bring that divinity in our home, in our house, in our room, in our temple, on the altar. So we bring that divinity because we can't reach the place where that supreme reality is. So we cannot go to his dimension, then we can call him at our home. So when we cannot go and we call it home means that is the Saguna Upasana, Saguna Sakara. This with form, we worship, we meditate, and we relate to. I'll give one example, though in our young age or in our childhood, we used to play some video games. And now also you see our children, they play video games. So in the video game, suppose you are playing the game like Spider-Man. There's a character Spider-Man, and this character in the video game is made up of computer codes. And this character can never understand his creator, as how his creator looks and what are the bone or flesh, bone or blood and flesh, as he's made of code only. Because this character, let's say the Spider-Man, it is not really having a flesh and blood, but this character is made up of only computer codes. So it cannot understand its creator who created this character. But his game is controlled by the creator. So he feels that his creator is present everywhere. At every movement, his creator is present because who is controlling him. It is difficult for a man to think beyond the creation. And that is why we choose the second path of calling God in our creation. And there, God also is abided by his law of creation. Because it's not easy to go to that unmanifest dimension or meditate on formless. Not easy for everybody. But the second path, with attribute, with form, it's very easy to relate to. We can see, we can look, we can worship, we can love. Always remember, form helps us to make a personal relationship as there is duality. It is one of the 9 modes of bhakti as taught by Lord Rama in Valmiki Ramayana. When he said that you can do bhakti, you can make personal relationship. So it is one path of devotion. But if we talk about the other path, which is nirguna, which is jnanamaya, and saguna is premamaya. So suppose you are looking at the sky. When we are sitting near the window and we look at the sky, we can see only the part of sky, and very often we fall in love with that's such beautiful sky, sometimes with stars, sometimes completely blue. We fall in love with that form, that small portion what we see through the window, and we are engrossed in that. And even we can spend our whole life in that every day morning I go and see from my window the beautiful sky. This is Saguna Patha with attributes. But if we realize that sky is more than what we are perceiving from the window and is actually infinite, only our perception is different, then this is Nirguna Patha. When we start realizing that it is infinite and it's not only this much which we see through the window. So this is Nirguna Patha, attributeless, and it is based on knowledge. So path of form, worshipping in form is always dependent on path of devotion. You can love it. But path of knowledge or to know the reality, it is the second path, which is to worship divinity in formless state. In both ways, we are worshipping the same sky, or you can say God. In both ways, like whether it is form or formless, we are worshipping the same sky or same God. But Saguna is based on love. The form is based on love, which is related to emotions and sense organs. Therefore, it is natural way of worship. But in the path of knowledge, Nirguna way, we have to realize something beyond senses because it is avang manasa gochara and it is inexplicable. So this is not natural for most of the people to think about divinity in formless state. If we consider this world is truth, then God is also true. But if we consider the world as mithya or illusion, then it appears like this. Again, it depends how we observe it, how we look at it. Saguna worship is the beginning. The form, worshipping with form is the beginning, and nirguna is the end of realization. So the form takes us to formless state, just like all the rivers dissolve into the formless and vast ocean at the end. Our journey begins with Puranic stories, with little worship, offering incense and lamp and so on, and little prayer, and it ends with Vedanta. They are like primary school and the higher studies, like having the degree of PhD. So Sagun and Nirgun, form and formless, both are okay. Nirguna never changes. Attributeless or formless never changes, whereas Saguna or with form, it changes in each period of time. Because God manifested in the form of Lord Rama, then he came in another era as Lord Krishna, then Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, and so on. So Saguna can change its form, but Nirguna always remain as it is. When we talk about Nirguna Brahma or the formless God, then we call it Brahman. It is Sat Chit Ananda, three aspects: Sat Chit Ananda, existence or reality, knowledge and consciousness, and third is bliss or perfect happiness. The manifest aspect of divinity is the finite form, and the permeated presence of Brahman is the formless divinity. Thus, in the creation, form and formless are together, and the play of existence, consciousness, and bliss permeates the drama of life. Ultimately, nothing but Brahman, who is formless, exists in the entire creation and beyond. It comes to mind again that yes, God is form and formless both, but there are people who worship God in so many different forms. And there is a statement, people say that there are 3.3 million deities in Hinduism. Oh God, so much, so many numbers. Is it really true? So answer is the question, because I was asked this question sometimes, that is God, how many gods do we have? Because we have heard that in Hinduism, in India, people worship 3.3 million deities. So when I was asked this question, I said that let's count it, that how many we know. So we started telling them Lord Krishna, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Ganesha, Lord Shiva, Divine Mother Durga, Mother Kali, and so on. So we tried, I said, okay, make a list. And the list was not going beyond the 100 or 100, few hundred, like 150, maybe maximum. But we couldn't go beyond that. We could not. So I asked that then from where this 3.3 million number came. However, how many gods do we have? Remember, we have only one God who is formless, but many names and forms. In Isha Upanishad, the first mantra clarifies this doubt. It says, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha magradha kasya svidhanam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Whatever exists in this entire universe, whether it is animate or inanimate, whether it is moving or non-moving, everything is covered by God. Means everything is presence of God. Therefore, enjoy this world with the idea of detachment. Do not covet for wealth of others. But the first line of this mantra is most important. Isha vasyam idam sarvam. Whatever we see, whatever we experience, whatever we come across in any name and form, it is nothing but presence of divine. So God is omnipresent. When God is omnipresent, then God is everywhere. So Ishavasyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. In this whole universe, God is pervading. People believe that Hindus are idol worshipper. But remember, Hindus do not worship any idol, but they worship God only, and they worship a chosen form of God. But truly speaking, God is formless. So they perceive that formless divinity in that form and they worship that because they need something to relate to first. I'll not go deeper into this aspect, but we worship. And just to tell you that when we worship divinity in any form, we all during puja or even in the temples, the idols are installed with it can be stone idol or metallic, but there is a process, very elaborate process of almost a week. Only qualified priests perform this ceremony to install prana, life force into that, and after that we worship it. Before that, it is just a stone. So we worship the prana, which is omnipresent divinity, in the same idol or same form. Also, Hindus do not worship many gods. They worship only one God who is formless, but in different names and form, they can invoke him. Every aspect becomes a deity for us, and this is the vision of divine for a mature person. Interestingly, when we say God is omnipresent, because we discussed in the previous slides, God is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. If God is omnipresent, then how can we limit God in a particular place only? When we say God is omnipresent, we should practice it. And that is where we make the mistake. We believe, but we don't practice it. If God is omnipresent, God is in me, God is in you, God is in dog, God is in every tree. And this is the reason that in India, you will find people worshipping mountain, they worship river, they worship cow, they worship snake, they worship many things because we do not worship cow, we do not worship mountain or river or tree, but we worship the same formless divine in this form. Because for us, everything is manifestation of God, because God is omnipresent, so we practice it. Do we have 330 million deities? Because this is the statement from Veda. It is said that Hindus believe that there are 330 million deities. In the Veda, there are 33 gods are listed. And just to tell you that in Rig Veda, there's a mantra, also in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the mantras, they speak about 33 categories of deity. Actually, there is a word in the mantra, it says 33 koti, K-O-T-I, koti. Koti in Sanskrit has two meanings. One meaning is class, like high class, lower class, middle class. So this is the class or category. And another meaning of koti is million. So when the Vedas were translated into English, they took this word, the meaning as the million. So it became 330 million, but actually there is no proof of 330 million. But 33 koti means 33 class of deities or divinity. So koti means class and koti means 10 million. One koti means 10 million. So according to one view, some scholars misinterpreted this word koti, which means the class. So they say that there are 330 million deities or gods within Hinduism. And this statement in Veda is also true actually, because when this statement is given or the mantra is written or revealed, at that time the total population of earth was 330 million and each person was living like a god. However, in order to govern this creation in perfect order, God created, means Brahma, the creator, who created 33 departments and 33 categories of divine aspects were given charge to maintain the creation. Like a president rules the country with the help of various departments and departmental ministers. So the mantra says in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it is in the third book, ninth canto, second mantra. Sahovacha mahimana evesham ete trayastrinshat tattvena deva iti katame te त्रयस्त्रिश दित्यष्टौ वसव एकादश रुद्रा द्वादश आदित्यः देन एक त्रिशदिन्द्रश्चैव प्रजापतिश्च त्रयस्त्रिशाविति. In reality, there are only 33 gods and goddesses of these. So names are given in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and also the same mantra you can find in Rig Veda. In reality, 33 deities. Who are these? They are 8 Vasus, Ashtavasu, 11 Rudras, and 12 Adityas, and then Indra and Prajapati. So they total become 33 deities or gods, mean 33 departmental heads. And among them, what is their duty? For example, the different departments created by the creator were like water department, irrigation, agriculture, defense, and so on. So similarly, like we have water god, so we call Varuna. We have god of death, Yama. We have Indra, ruler in the heaven. We have fire god, Agni Deva. So these are the different departments, 33. So they became 33 koti, not 330 million. And in the Veda, Rig Veda, the same departments are mentioned, 33 koti departments, but there is variation. If you see here, Ashtavasu, first 12 Adityas. Who are the Adityas? Their names are given. They are known as Indra, Varuna, Mitra, Daksha, Amsha, Bhaga, Aryama, Vivaswan, Twastra, and Pushan, Dhatra, and Yama. Similarly, 11 Rudras, their names are given. And Ashtavasus, their names are Agni, Vayu, Dev, Prithvi, Surya, Soma, Apa, and Dhruva. And in Rig Veda, the variation is that instead of Indra and Prajapati, there are 2 Ashwini Kumaras. They are known as the celestial physicians. However, so only 330 million deities are not there. It is 333 koti or 33 departments or their departmental heads. So when we talk about this form and formless, you can say that we can consider it like the form and formless. So formless is like ocean, a big ocean. So we can consider this entire cosmos as the big ocean. And in that ocean, like I'm giving example here, for example, we look into the sky and huge, size of cloud. So let's say this is called unitary field. So in this entire cosmos, there are some pockets. So these pockets, we can say these are the forms or the aspect of divinity, which has some name, form, and attributes. So depending on our interest, depending on our aptitude, Krishna, and a mantra is there which can connect with that divinity. Suppose somebody is very brave, courageous, always and prosperity aspect. So Lakshmi life and so on. So you see that whatever our aptitude is, so according to that, we can connect with any one aspect of divinity which we like, and we choose that form, we choose that mantra, and that form actually belongs to this formless because it's a unitary field. The mantra connects us with the form, and this form dissolves into formless because it's all like merging into ocean, all different rivers, ultimately merging in one infinite ocean. So this is form and formless. People ask that, sometimes we are afraid that if we commit a mistake, then God is punishing us. Sometimes you say, oh, because I did something good, so God is rewarding me. But the question is again that does God punish or reward? The answer is no, none of these, because God created some universal laws, and according to these laws, the universe is governed. And there is, I'll give the example of different laws. For example, if we consider God as, let's say, the president of a country. Now, president himself is ruling the country, but not alone, but he is ruling the country with the help of many departments, as we discussed, and each department has their own minister. Now, these ministers also, they are governed by the laws. So some laws are maintained, like if we talk about the laws, like universal law. So there is law of conservation of energy, law of gravitation, law of transaction of energy, law of cause and effect, which is known as the law of karma, Newton's law of motion, theory of general relativity, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and so on. There are many laws. So according to the law, everything is run. So also God has created certain universal laws. And as we perform our action, we get the result. If we commit a mistake, we suffer for that. If we do some good action, we enjoy the result of action. But God himself or herself or itself, whoever, whatever you call, is completely neutral. God is like a president. So he is sitting, and president has the power to pardon someone. Suppose a petition goes and somebody is asking for mercy petition. So the president has the power to relax it or completely forgive the person. But he himself is not doing anything. Another example I'll give when we think about the punishment or reward. When a person goes to the court of law and appearing for a case, so there is some hearing. So judge sitting on the bench, such judge is just listening to the arguments from both sides. The lawyer, they are making their argument, they are presenting their views. So judge is just listening to both, and then he is giving a judgment. When the judge is giving judgment, suppose he is giving a verdict that this person has committed the crime and this person will be convicted. But truly speaking, it is not the judge who is giving punishment. It is the law he is giving, because judge is telling according to this law, this person will be convicted. Because judge has nothing personal with the person. So it's not the judge giving punishment, but it is the law who is giving punishment. And this is where law of karma comes into place, that we get the result of our own action. God is not responsible for punishing or rewarding, but God is always there to help us. When we pray, we can get some relaxation or forgiveness from him. So God does not punish, does not reward, but God always helps us. He is our father, he is our mother. When we talk about God, so there are two things. When we live on this earth planet, we are already born here. So we can call ourselves as the individual soul. We call it Jiva. The individual soul is Jiva, and Brahman is the Paramatma or God, the Absolute. So what is the relation? You see the difference between these two aspects. Although we are the soul essentially, and soul is part and parcel of divinity. Like a big mirror, if it is broken into pieces, that each piece is reflecting our own image. So we are like the soul, we are like the drops in the ocean. Bubble, as Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, I am the bubble, make me the sea. So God is like the big reservoir of energy. So what is the nature of God? there are three attributes we discussed that are given to God. Satchid Ananda. Sat means eternity, Chit means consciousness, and Ananda is the bliss. This is actually our real nature because we are God. We are children of God. So we inherit all these qualities. Satchid Ananda is the quality of the soul, which is nothing but part and parcel of God. But what is happening really? When we are in this world, our perception is different and our real nature is different. Our real nature is Satchid Ananda, but our perception is different. What we think, I am mortal because I am dying. Why? Because when I identify with my body, then there is death for body, but there is no death for the soul. Although my real nature is Sat means I am eternal as a soul, but I consider I am mortal. My nature is Chit, pure consciousness or knowledge. That is my real nature. But my perception is that I am ignorant. That's why I am suffering. I am feeling pain. Then Ananda means bliss. Supreme bliss is my real nature. But my perception is I am sad. So when I'm thinking I'm sad, I feel pain, I suffer. So what we need to do? We need to go from our individual state to Brahman, from Atma to Paramatma. As an individual, our real nature, we have to identify with that, not just with what we perceive. Our perception may be false. And for this reason, how do we connect or how do we go to our real nature, whether we follow form or formless puja or worship? In both way, we have to get rid of our false perception of I am ignorant, I am mortal, I am sad, and from that we have to come to that I am eternal, I am pure consciousness, I am knowledge, and I am blissful. How do we do that? So the question towards the end, or to conclude it, how to know God? Yes, we understood that God is neither male or female, God is omnipresent, God is with form or formless. But question is how to know whether we love God or whether we connect with God through the path of knowledge. So there are four stages, we can say, the four steps to know God. First thing, remember, we are not born here to worship God only. Yes, we worship God, but what is the purpose? It is not just to worship, but we are here to worship as well as to become God. Unless we become God, worship or puja has no meaning. That's why in the Veda there is a mantra, Devo Bhutva Devam Yajat. You become God and then worship on or meditate on divinity. However, I can suggest four steps. How to know God? Number one, fact, believe, live and experience. These are the four stages Shri Guruji also mentioned. Fact, this is Satya. Believe means Vishwas. Live means Jivan Nirvaha. And experience Anubhuti. What does it really mean? It means that the four stages how to know God. First is the fact. What is the fact? The fact is that God is true and God is all pervading. This is a fact. So we first accept this. This is a fact that God is all pervading. God is omnipresent. So God remains in every form, everywhere. Now this is the first stage. Then second stage is Vishwas. The essence of creation is also a fact. When we know this fact that God is omnipresent, then we need to believe in that. We read it, but we don't believe. So first the fact, yes, we accept. This is the fact that God is omnipresent. The second stage is believe in that, firm belief. The essence of creation is God. This is fact. When we know this fact, we must believe in it. Only to have faith and belief is not enough unless we live accordingly. So third stage comes when we believe, then we should live accordingly. That if I believe that God is omnipresent, how can I hurt my wife or husband or family members? Because there is presence of God. So if I'm not living according to that, then I'm not in the third stage. So we must practice what we know and we believe, because practice brings perfection in life. When we believe And when we live according to our belief in this fact that God is omnipresent, then we can experience and realize the truth. So the fourth is to realize, experience or anubhuti. So experience will not come unless we live according to our belief and when we start with the fact. So these are the stages we have to follow if you want to know God. Then how to know God in the Kriya practice, it is very easy because we have both form and formless. So if you just, I'll remind you that in our Kriya practice also, we begin with form like divine light, divine sound, divine pulsation. We experience divinity in these three forms and then they help us to concentrate. With these forms, we go to Paravastha or state of silent meditation where all these qualities, all these attributes, all these forms, they dissolve into formless and we meditate on formless divinity. So first we love light, sound, pulsation. Then we know God who is formless in Paravastha or silent meditation. In Mundak Upanishad, there's a mantra for God and God realization. It says, Na chakshusha grahyate napi vacha nanyar devas tapasa karmanava jnana prasadena vishuddha sattva tatastu tam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanah. God is not grasped by eye, not even by speech, nor by other senses, because we discussed avang manasa gochara. You cannot understand, you cannot realize God by speech, mind, thought, or any sense organ. That's why Gurudev used to say, you cannot realize God with five sense telephones and mind. You have to go beyond. It is not possible to know God through mortifications or deeds like we do austerities or we do charities. That is good karma, but we cannot, that's not enough. So one who meditates upon divinity with absolute purity of mind, remain this condition. Remember, meditates with purity of mind can behold him through the serenity attendant divine knowledge. So this mantra tells that with form we start and with formless we finish our journey. That means it comes to the end with dhyana or meditation. So in meditation, everything dissolves and we get the experience anubhuti. What we believed, what we love, what we practice, we experience that with meditation. So who is God? God is omnipresent. When God is omnipresent, how to realize God? Through meditation. So with this, we can proceed and we can fulfill our goal of life. We can accomplish for which we are born here on this earth planet. However, so this is, in short, we discussed about God. Don't get scared with this word God. God means nothing but pure consciousness. It's like pure conscious energy which is manifested at different dimension and it is omnipresent. It is present in each and everything. Only thing we need to accept this is truth, fact, then believe in this. Once you believe, live accordingly, means practice it. And once you practice, you will realize it through your meditation. I'm happy to discuss with this topic today on this special occasion of Sri Gurudev's Mahasamadhi. I am praying to God and Masters, praying especially to Sri Gurudev to give us wisdom, knowledge, more love, peace, prosperity, and also ultimately give us self-realization through the path he has taught us, the path of Kriya Yoga. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all become happy and healthy, loving, noble, and compassionate. May there be no suffering, no sorrow. May there be more love, peace, and harmony among us and in this entire creation. May the blessings of God and Masters be upon us all and everywhere. Om. Amen. I humbly bow to living presence of God in different names and forms in each one of you. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your patience and presence. So we'll conclude today and hope to see you next month.